Hi, welcome back to Straight Talk. We're talking about violence prevention, education, and everything that we can do to prevent crime and violence, not just in Baltimore, but every community. And now we're going to talk to some people that are part of an amazing program. I know it personally. They do a phenomenal job. We all know about the University of Maryland Shock Trauma Center, and this is an education and prevention program as part of their injury prevention program at Shock Trauma. And joining me is David Ross. David, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And you are the case manager, and you're also a performer, which we'll talk about, which is very important, but you're the case manager of the trauma prevention program. And Damon Walker here, who is a volunteer, he's a mentor at the center, and you are a victim of crime, and you've come back, and you are handicapped. You're sitting in the sofa, you look perfectly normal, but meanwhile you can't use your legs.
True.
But you got up here to do this, and we're going to talk a lot about your story, because it's a phenomenal story, one that everyone should hear. But David, let's start really about trauma prevention. Tell me about the program, what it does, what you guys are doing, because personally I know it, and it's amazing. Let the public know.
So in 1998, Dr. Cornell Cooper, a trauma surgeon, shock trauma at the time, he just got tired of seeing young black men, particularly coming to the hospital with intentional violent injuries, and he would patch them together, send them out, and they would come back a short time later with the same type of injuries and sometimes even fatal. So he did a study to figure out what are some of the contributors that adds to these young men and women being hurt in their communities. And they found that what those things are, and decided to put together a program specifically designed to help challenge some of those things. So our goal is to reduce the recidivism of patients coming in with intentional violent injuries.
Now, who goes, is it a formal program that they go through when they come down? Are these for like first offenders that could come down, or patients that can go through it?
Right, so just to give you a quick rundown of how it goes, every day we'll get a registry of patients who come in, and the ones who come in with violent injuries are flagged. Those are the ones we go to the bedside to see. We'll see them at bedside, offer them some of the services that we have with our program, be it counseling, if they need intensive case management, help with housing, child support, issues with parole and probation, things like that. And some of these things are attractive to the patients because typically, the lifestyle that they're living warrants that type of attention. And they need help getting out of those situations. So we try to help with those things if we can. So once if they decide to join the program, then we come in and they'll come in and do an intake in our office and set up a plan for goals that they would like to establish and achieve.
And so you literally go right to their bed.
To the bedside,
so you know who's coming in. And I would imagine the majority of people coming into shock trauma had some kind of a violent act, whether it was from drunk driving to gun violence to stabbings, everything that shows up at trauma. And so you're able to make that. What kind of response do you get? I mean, I would imagine if they're lying in there and they're either a victim of crime or involved in crime.
Mike, I tell you, I mean, it varies. So we're meeting someone at probably their most vulnerable moment, they'll ever experience in their lives. Sometimes people want to know if I'm the police. They want to know who I am. Why do I want to help them? I'm not, coming in to ask them for anything. I'm just offering help. So sometimes people are a little outlandish about that. But sometimes people are right away ready to say yes. Please help me with getting a home. Please help me with education. I want to go back to school. Help me to get to get back into my children's lives, things like that. And you see some of the toughest guys well up with tears in those situations. So it's very humbling for me to be able to help them through that if I can.
Well, we're going to delve you're going to be in 2 segments here because I really want the public to hear exactly how the program works. But I want to introduce Damon and your story because you got one heck of a story.
All right, well, in 1996, on New Year's Day, I was shot on Hamburg Street, right where the stadium is. It wasn't there at that time. I was at Hammerjacks. And somebody I never saw in my life just shot me, for no reason. They left me basically for dead in the gutter. And I was just laying there, and again, somebody who I never saw in my life just came and picked me up out of the street and put me in that car and took me to shock trauma. I survived, obviously, I'm here now. And from that point, I really understood that, it was my duty to, help people that were in my situation. And even on both sides of it, because even before I got shot, I turned my life around at that point. But, as a juvenile, I got into a lot of trouble. And so it was, so I saw both sides of it, and I understood that, both sides need healing. And so that's why, I'm really committed to the program.
Now, when you got shot, where were you in your life? Had you already made the transition to not getting in any more trouble?
Yeah, I was a straight A student. I mean, I can't say I wasn't going to get in any more trouble, but I was a straight A student. I went to work every day. My life was just turning around.
Right.
It was a 180.
So here you were living a juvenile life of crime and some problems.
And juvenile services saved my life because they put me on home monitor and made me stay home and appreciate being home. And it made me really understand that I like being home more than I like being in the streets. And it gave me an appreciation of family. And I understood that's what I was probably looking for in the streets, just, somewhere to fit in and be accepted, to be comfortable. And so, getting shot at that point in my life was so ironic because I seemed like I did the work, but now I understood that I was put in this situation, not being able to walk because, I changed my life for myself, but being in this situation, I could change a lot of other people's lives.
But you ended up, I mean, the irony of the whole story is here you were troubled as a juvenile, and then you start cleaning up your life, and here you are just out one night and a random shooting.
Well, I just feel like it was just a greater calling for me. I understood.
Amazing.
I got out of a lot of things, so many things that I made it out of that, maybe I shouldn't have had. And I guess for all of that stroke of luck, this was my burden, which is, I can't complain, I'm alive, so
You've
I'm
got
happy.
a higher calling for sure.
That's what I feel like.
All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, I want to hear more about the trauma prevention program and hear about Damon, who just did the Baltimore Marathon, so we definitely want to talk about that. That's pretty impressive. So hang in there, okay? When we come back to Straight Talk, we're going to continue talking about the trauma prevention program and the amazing work they're doing to try to keep our streets and the people of Baltimore safe. So stay with us. We're coming right back to Straight Talk.
Who helps a hero? Who tells the story of their scars? The freedom and safety of so many, of us all, is earned by the sacrifices of so few. Who helps a hero? We all do. The Gary Sinise Foundation works to support America's defenders and strengthen their families through entertainment, the construction of smart homes for our wounded heroes, and by inspiring and educating others to also support the veterans within their own communities. We enjoy the benefits of their sacrifice and service each day. Now it's time we serve them. Find out how you can help our heroes at GarySiniseFoundation.org. While we can never do enough to show our gratitude to our nation's defenders, we can always do a little more.
Calls me googly eyes.
You know you're beautiful, right? You know that?
Even you are beautiful. I got bullied for wearing glasses. Share if you're against bullying.
We put it out there, just took off. 3 million people have shared this post. Don't Don't let bullies get you down. I stand with you. Our whole family's wearing glasses. I wear glasses and I'm proud.
I even have the army on my team.
All the kind comments brought my child joy. I don't feel thank you is enough.
Thanks.
Hi, welcome back to Straight Talk. We're talking with David Ross and Damon Walker, who are with the University of Maryland Shock Trauma Prevention Program, Violence Prevention Program, that is amazing. I mean, we know how many people end up at trauma because either a victim of violence or causing violence, and they reach them right at that spot. And we're talking with Damon Walker, who was shot. You were shot yourself. Did you know, I mean, here you were at Hammer Jacks just having a good time, and you end up randomly being shot. Did you know right away what the outcome was going to be?
Well, I knew I was paralyzed when I got shot.
You did?
Because I was standing there and I couldn't move, and I thought the outcome was death, you know, until that person came and, you know, saved my life.
Where were you shot?
I was shot like right about at the bottom of the heart. They call it the pericardial sac. They said it went across through the diaphragm, the liver, and out the kidney, and I got shot above the belly button in my hand. So it was 3 shots. He kept pulling the trigger, but
Just
I don't think he had any more
violence.
bullets. Yeah, you know, it was just, you know, nothing good happens at 3 a.m., you know? Your mom tells you that, so she was right.
She sure was. She sure was. And how long did your rehab took a long time, I assume?
Oh, man, my rehab is still happening right now, man. But yeah, it's just it's a never-ending process. And, you know, I talk to the guys at the bedside who, you know, a lot of the guys do become paralyzed and things like that. And I just try to explain to them it's something that's going to make them or break them. And it's going to be slow in the beginning, but, you know, once you get the hang of it, you know, it's going to move really fast. And, you know, once you start being active, you know, because you look like you may never get your strength back. You may never be the same again, but you realize, you know, how really strong you are when you go through that process. And, you know, I don't think I would have, you know, my physical strength has nothing to do with, you know, my mental and my emotional endurance that I had to, you know, build up during the situation.
What made you want to do a marathon?
What made me want to do a marathon? Well, I like being challenged. And one of my friends, Vicky, she's my personal trainer at Kennedy Krieger, and she was just like, hey, you know, or actually, Kennedy Krieger wanted me to be in their marathon team, and I was thinking about it, but then I went to Colorado, and I was mountain biking, and it was amazing. I felt like, oh man, it was one of the most amazing experiences I ever had. And from that, I came back, and I did the Baltimore Marathon, and I've probably done about 5 or 6 since. And I got another one coming up in Charlotte in January. So, you know, it's just something I love to do because, you know, it just reminds me of life. You know, once you start, you can't go back. You know, you at mile 22, you can't just stop. You can't just, you know, just quit.
I know it well. I've done many myself, and I know what it takes to, you know, but to do a hand bike, as you do, that's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, but at the end of it, you know, all you can do is just, I think success breeds success. So when I could see like, yo, I wanted to throw up, I wanted to quit an hour ago, but I kept going and I did it. Yeah. It relates to every other aspect of my life.
Your amazing story, you know. David, I'm sure you see a lot of people who are at the bottom, who are at the down part, whether they're injured, right? I'm sure you see everything when you go and meet somebody in the hospital.
Yeah. So, Mike, we see a shock trauma close to 8,000 patients per year. 20% of those patients are come in as victims of an intentional violent crime. So, I mean, at the end of the year, I mean, 700 to 800 bedsides. Those are the ones I've been beside, and their stories are pretty similar for the most part. They're just trying to make it, you know, not only out of this situation, but what's on their minds when they get discharged and go home, the things that they already have to deal with. So unstable housing, family situations might be, I guess what some people call dysfunctional, and, you know, just a difficult place to be in to recover and to heal and be back at your best. So we just try to support them throughout all of those processes, all of those things that they're going through. Maybe even PTSD if they develop it after being in a situation like this, the nightmares they're experiencing and they have no one to talk to. We just try to help them through those things. We have a peer support group that we do once a week. We're working on doing a podcast with our guys just to sit around and talk some of that stuff out, not just with me, the professional, but with peers like Damon, who they have a different perspective and they may be able to relate better in some other ways.
Now, this is a loaded question to ask you, but since you're in there every day talking with people, and we try to look at the cause of violence, you know, and in Baltimore, you know, we have gangs, we have drugs, there's a lot out there. You know, as you said, despair, not enough jobs. What do you see? If you were to make kind of an assessment of why this is all happening and why the violence seems to be getting worse.
I don't really know the why, but I can tell you that there are a lot of people in pain and they're suffering, be it mental health that's suffering, physical health that's suffering, interpersonal relationships, being able to communicate, the inability to communicate effectively and resolve conflicts. So poverty, all of these things are included. So it's very complex, I think. But
and then you had drugs and guns
you know,
and everything out there.
What a cocktail,
that's
right?
out there.
So,
you know,
yeah, it's a lot going on with people. But I think our role is if we can get people to think of violence more as a public health epidemic that needs to be addressed as opposed to interpersonal problems.
Yeah, from my personal experience, I feel like literacy is a big part of it. You know, because I feel like if you don't have that, like literacy gives you, it puts you through other people's shoes. It gives you a chance to see life from other perspectives. You can see people come from the bottom to the top. You can see things that you thought was impossible happen. You know,
and
and if you don't have that, you're limited.
I want to thank you guys.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just
for
so
having us.
impressed and so proud, you know, knowing, you know, shock trauma, we love it. We're so thankful it's here. And now to know that you guys are working on the inside to try to make a difference. So congratulations. Good luck on your marathons.
Thanks, Mike.
Anybody want to sponsor this guy? We should get some sponsors out there. But good luck to both of you and Godspeed. I want to thank everyone for watching Straight Talk. We talked a lot about violence prevention. There's things we can do. There's things everyone can do to prevent our families and ourselves from being victims of crime. And if something happens, call for help. It's all about getting help for people. Thank you for watching Straight Talk. We'll see you next time.